Hello. Well, I guess you caught me off guard. Would you like me to tell you the story I just read? Well, I guess you got no choice, so might as well just tell you right now so we get this over with. Alright, so once upon a time...
Kayaks were originally developed by Inuit people who used the boats to hunt on inland lakes, rivers and coastal waters of the Arctic, North Atlantic, and the North Pacific Oceans, as well as the Bering Sea. These first kayaks were constructed from stitched seal or other animal skins stretched over a wood, but they would use whalebone skeleton frame. Western Inuit used wood while the Eastern Inuit used whalebone due to the treeless landscape. The word kayak means man's boat. The native kayaks were a personal craft, each built by the man who used it, with assistance from his wife, who sewed the skins, closely fitting his size for maximum maneuverability. Inuit kayak builders had specific measurements for the boats. The length was typically 3 times the span of his outstretched arms. The width at the cockpit was the width of the builder's hips plus 2 fists and sometimes less. Most of the Eskimo peoples from the Aleutian Islands eastward to Greenland relied on the kayak for hunting a variety of prey, primarily seals, but whales and caribou were important in some areas. Skin-on-frame kayaks are still being used for hunting by Inuit people in Greenland. Inuit paddles are the result of a continuous pressure over more than a millennium to evolve a tool, most suited to long duration and bad weather paddling. Seaworthiness and survival were the paramount needs, but speed was also important too. In hunting chases, paddling each day for several days or weeks and for long distances created the need for an energy-efficient design, and one that would be less tiring on the muscles as well as being predictable in response when used in an emergency. These aims are achieved with a long, narrow blade. In contrast, modern European paddles evolved from English Victorian origins as wide blades at the ends of the loom, a shaft used on inland waters and especially rivers. At first, the blades were in the same plane, an orientation known as unfeathered. Later, in the early decades of the 20th century, they became set at an angle to each other to give an advantage when racing. Short-duration racing and recreational touring constituted the modern use of kayaks. Only in racing and competition was there a pressure to evolve more efficient designs of paddle, to produce more power efficiency from each stroke, and in recent years the wing paddle is one design that has emerged to meet this need. There are a significant number of old Inuit paddles in museums around the world that exhibit a variety of blade shapes and lengths, and many have been surveyed. At first it was assumed by Europeans that the Inuit made long, thin-bladed paddles because of the shape of wood available, which were driftwood logs. It is technically more difficult to make a wide blade from a single piece of wood, but the Inuit had that capability, and in a few cases they created wide blade paddles. The majority of Inuit paddles are also made with both blades in the same plane, while modern recreational paddles that are feathered and have one blade set at between 60 and 90 degree angle to the other.
The end. Alright, so this is the end of part 1. Part 2 coming next. Roger, let's go. Come on, man. Help me out here. God.
Paddles are used to propel and steer a canoe or kayak by pulling or pushing the paddle blade against the water along the sides of the boat. Kayaks were not introduced as a recreational toy until the middle of the 19th century. A paddle consists of a shaft with a broad flat surface, called a blade, on one or both ends. The area where the blade joins or tapers into the shaft is called the throat.
Paddle shafts can vary in shape and diameter. The shaft designs can include a bend near the paddle throat to increase the power of each stroke. Paddle blades vary in size and shape depending on their intended use and the strength of the paddler. A typical paddle blade is 8 inches or 20 centimeters wide and 18 inches or 46 centimeters long, from its throat to the tip. Optimal blade size depends on the shoulder power of the individual paddler. Proper blade size is also important to recreational paddlers because a blade that is too small will cause a strong paddler to waste energy and cause unnecessary fatigue. The shape of the blade also affects a paddler's performance. So obviously, if you have a weak shoulder, you would prefer using a different kind of paddle. Paddles can be single or double-bladed. Single-bladed paddles have a blade at one end of the shaft and a grip at the other end. Grips can be T-shaped to form a triangular shape or have a simple rounded end. Canoe paddlers use a single-bladed paddle while kayakers uses the double-bladed paddle, which enables the kayakers to alternate left and right strokes without needing to change their grasp on the paddle. Double-bladed paddles typically have a grip area at the midpoint of the shaft. The feather-bladed paddles offer an advantage over traditionally oriented blades since the angle between the feathered blades allows the paddler to pull one blade through the water while the other blade slices horizontally through the air. This reduces air resistance on the blade out of the water and increases the paddler's efficiency. Paddles are made from a variety of materials. Wood, fiberglass, aluminum, and plastic can be used alone or in combination with other materials to make the entire paddle. I guess that is all I can tell you about the paddles. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Thanks for watching.
Oh, hello. Well, you've got right in. Oh. The end. Well, now it is time for part 2. Roger, please. What? Holy. Oh, hello. You just caught me off guard. I was reading my book. Would you like to hear the story as well? Alright, I guess you got... Well. Kid. Oh, hello. Well, you're... Oh God.